Hi, I'm Patricia and welcome to my creative space. Today we are going to cover a wooden box with the TINYMIGHTY technique. So let's get started. Here I've got all kinds of scrap clay, but my main colors I'm using are pearl and ultramarine blue. And I'm just going to mix up the rest of my scraps here in with this darker pearl blue that I've had from scraps. And it's going to be a little bit lighter like this one here. Okay, and I'm going to make the TINYMIGHTY slab, and I'm going to put it on this light piece of blue pearl here. So I just roughly rolled it out, and I'm going to lay one shape on top of the other and cut around it. You don't need to really be too precise here. And I'm going to go ahead and speed this up so that it's not so boring to those of you who know how to make TINYMIGHTY slab. I'm just trimming up these edges here so I can make it as even as possible with the top pearl piece there. And then I'm going to roll it out to thin it out a little bit before running it through my pasta machine on a setting 0. And I'll do this roughly 4 times. Stack it, run it through again, stack it. Now usually I do the fold method, but here lately I've been doing pretty good with just eyeballing it. So here I'm going to just take and stack it again. Cut and stack one more time. Kind of get it all squished together here. And I can't find my ball tool, so I'm just using the end of a brush here. Then my little stylus pin here. Got my wavy blade. Put a couple marks in it with that. Then I get out a regular blade here and just start doing lines in it. And I think that's good enough. So now I've got this sheet rolled out on a setting 0. Start cutting here and placing my pieces on. I don't want them too close together or too far apart, really. You know, I want it to be able to blend nicely when I have to blend the seams. So I don't want it to be, I don't know what the word is I'm looking for. I don't want it to be too tight. I want that background color to show through a lot too. Now, why do I keep doing the TINYMIGHTY techniques on these things? I like doing it. It's pretty, and it blends well together, so you don't have seams, and you don't have to try to keep a pattern straight or anything like that. And that's why I like using the TINYMIGHTY technique to cover my stuff. And that about does it. I think it's looking pretty good here. So I'm going to take it and run it through my pasta machine on the thickest setting. Alright, and there's what it looks like after being run through on the thickest setting. Now I'm running it through on a setting 2. And there's what it looks like after it's run through on a setting 2. Now I'm going to run it through on a setting 4. And that will be my final setting. And there's what it looks like after it's been run through on a setting 4. Hopefully I have enough to fill it, but I don't think I'm going to. And here's the box. And I have pre-baked the box. I am using Sculpey Bacon Bond. So I am following the directions on that. And it says to pre-bake before you put it down and put your clay on there. And a good reason to do that is you will get cracks or breakage or something like that in your work if you do not pre-bake it. So I recommend following the directions on whatever it is you're using. Here's a smaller box I did that's a test piece. Um, this one I did forget to bake it first, and I got cracks in my lid. I didn't round it. Don't know how I managed that one, but I did get it in the lid really bad. Thankfully, you can't hardly see them thanks to the Mikunigani, but they are there. So yeah, this is what we're going to make today. And I'm going to texture the big one because there's so many seams. And of course I forgot to hit record. I got the top of it covered already. Pretty much I just laid it on the clay, cut around it, put it on there, and then cut around the edges to make it flush. Now I'm doing the sides. I'm just stamping it on there to make a small impression. I'm not pushing real hard. I don't want to flatten the clay out any more than I have to. And then I'm going to cut along that line. And I will do that for all 4 edges. Alright, now I'm going to take my bacon bond here and I'm just going to draw a line on all 4 edges. And then I'm going to take a brush and paint it on there. And then start adding my strips. Sorry I'm not in frame. I tend to do things more over my lap than over my table. That is my issue. And I am so trying to fix that. But I just lined it up on there, trying to make it flush with the top edge there. And you can see I got some overhang and I will just cut that off with my blade on the corner, right on the corner. Okay, and I will grab my next piece and do the same thing. Hopefully I will be in view. I make no promises. And of course I'm not. Oh, there we go. That's better. So just lining it up, making sure it's nice and flush. Trying to make sure I don't have any air bubbles. I'm going to pinch those ends together. Make sure they're nice and tight. No wood showing through. And that's what I'm going to do for the other 2 pieces. Okay, I'm going to kind of speed through this here because we've got a lot of ground to cover. It is a complicated box, so I want to show as much as possible. Like I said, I'm just putting these edges on, lining the corners up, and then cutting the excess off. Do that the same way, that last one, and then I'm going to smooth everything out. Just kind of pinch a little bit and smooth out the seams so I can blend it all nicely together so that it looks just wrapped around it and it don't look put together. So that's what I'm doing here, is blending the seams. Just kind of push with my thumb a little bit to kind of smush it together, I guess. call it, is what I'm doing. And then just smoothing it out with my fingers. So I will do that for a bit, and then I will move on. Alright, now I'm going to texture it, and I'm using a sponge from a aquarium kit is what I'm using. And I'm just going to go over it a few times to get a good texture going, which is all I'm doing here. Just kind of patting it on there, getting that texture to show through. Alright, now I'm just going to set it on the sponge so that I got a good surface here. It's not going to flatten it back out. And I'm going to trim off the excess overhang of the clay off the bottom of the lid. So that's all I'm doing here. And one last side. There we go, that'll do it. Okay, now I'm ready to start on the lid. I'm going to take all this scrap clay here that I've got, and I'm going to make, not the lid, but the handle for the lid. I'm going to make me a square handle. So I start out making a ball, then flatten it out, and then I'm going to turn that into a square. Just using my hands. I'm going to square it out, and then I will texture it too. So, yep. Just kind of seeing if that's about how much I want, and I'm pretty sure it is. I want, like I said, I want a pretty big one, pretty big handle for this. So I'm just going to take and make sure that I got it good and square. And it's kind of a rounded square really, but I like it. So I'm going to get my sponge and I'm going to start texturing it. I'll do the top and the sides, and then I'll pop it on my lid. Okay, now working on the sides. Don't want to run into my slab there. So move it out of the way. I know I will end up getting it if I don't. So I'm just trying to lightly touch it while doing the texture on the sides here. Don't want to mess it up too much. That seems about good enough. So I'm going to pick it up here. Grab my lid and just pop it on there. Making sure I got it where I want it. Reposition a little bit. Looks good from here. Just take and put a little bit more pressure on it using a sponge. And then if it's too much texture, you can lightly go over it with your hand to kind of smooth it back out. That looks good to me. Now I'm ready to start on the bottom half of the box. Okay, I'm just going to bring the box over and size this up here. I'm going to put it where I need to and then cut it out. Just so I can get what I need. Here I'm putting on the Scalpy Bacon Bond. I know it looks like I'm putting on a whole lot, but this wood is really soaking it up. So I put on quite a bit. I did. because the wood's just wanting to soak it right up. Even though I pre-baked it, it's still wanting to soak it up. So I'm going to fit that over it. And make sure I have no bubbles. We don't want any air bubbles under there. And then I'm going to cut off the extra overhang. Trying to get that little bit of extra there. Take the other side. Cut off that little extra nub. And do this side. Cutting along that edge. Laying the blade right up against it. Okay, now I'm going to do the last side. There we go. Looks pretty good to me. So now we will do the sides, which was quite a challenge, let me tell you. So, trying to figure all this out. And I did figure it out. It would have been easier if I had a smaller blade to work with. But I could not find my X-Acto knife. So I went with using my clay blade for my cutting, which was difficult. And right here, I'm just sizing it up. See how it's going to fit. Looks like it's going to work for me. I'm going to go ahead and give this a straight edge. Just taking my blade and cutting along the jagged lines there. Give me a straight edge. Don't want to lose too much clay if possible there. I'm going to check it one more time. See where I need to be. Make sure it's going to fit. Try not to lose it in the process. And it looks like it's going to be a nice fit. So I will use this piece. So I'm going to get out my Sculpey Bacon Bond. And I'm just going to go over it. And again, like I said, it looks like I'm using a whole bunch, but the wood is really soaking it up. So, yeah. I'll brush that on with my little paintbrush here. And I sped this up for you, so it's not taking too long. I just wanted to show you how it's really soaking it up. Got my piece on there. In this shape, like I said, it was really difficult to figure out how I was going to do it. I mean, I could see it in my head how I wanted it to look, but I wasn't sure how to lay everything at first, so it was trial and error. And it seemed to all go pretty good, so I'm pretty pleased with how it came out. So just flip that over, cut off the excess from the inside of the box. Now I'm going to do angled corners here to put it together, kind of like the box is. So just follow along with those corners is what I was doing here. And I need to trim off the excess off the sides, which is what I was really worried about. getting in these little curves and valleys here, but I think I did pretty good. Just trying to figure it out. It's the hard part. Sorry, my phone keeps going off. I need to turn that down. And like I said, it really would have been a lot easier if I had a small X-Acto knife in that little divot corner piece there where it dips in. Because it was really hard to get the big blade up in there and shave that off. But I managed. I made it work. Sorry about all the noise in the background. My bunny's trying to get out of his playpen. He is not wanting to be in there right now. Cat was in there and got him all aggravated, so I gotta see if I can give him a banana chip and calm him down. Yeah, like I said, it was really hard doing it with this blade, but I managed to make it work. And it came out nice in the end, so use what you got. Just be careful with it. Okay, I'm gonna get out a piece of deli paper here. This is one to stick. So I'm going to put it on the deli paper so that I can just spin it around however I need to spin it. Makes it a lot easier on deli paper. So I'll do that. And then we'll get my next one ready to go here. Alrighty. Got that one lifted up. Let's pop that on there and see how that's going to work. I like to size it up before I go gluing anything down. Make sure that it's going to work out the way I planned. Okay, just trying to get set up here a minute so I can make sure that everything's going to be where I need it to be. I'm just sizing it up at the moment, making sure I got enough. Looks like it's going to be good on both edges. So I'm just going to take and cut that off there. About right at the where I need to cut it for the inside of the box. Okay. So it looks like it's going to be good. So I will just cover that. I won't show it this time, so it's covered in the Sculpey Bacon Bond. Just grab my piece and lay it over it. And this is where it gets really tricky. Yeah, it's a little bit tricky. Just kind of lining up that edge. Making sure it's good and on there. Just going to tuck my hand where that dents in there. It works as a pretty good tool. Always remember your hands, your fingers are the best tools you've got. You don't always need fancy tools to get the job done. So, just a reminder. I'll take my blade and I'm going to cut off that excess there. Lining up my diagonal cut. Smushing it down, blending everything together there. Kind of pulled out with my little divot in there, pushing it back in there. So I'll take my blade Now very carefully start trimming this edge off. Sorry I'm out of view. I'm just going along that line best as I can. Sorry about that. So, real gently along that edge. So I'm just kind of smushing everything down to make sure it's all lined up. I don't have anything else left to cut there. So I'll cut my other diagonal here. Just trying to get most of the excess off there. Take and cut off that overhang, putting right close up against the edge of the wood there. Getting rid of all that excess. Making sure I've got my diagonal cut where I need it to be. Patting that back down. Now cut off this excess edge. Just run along the edge with my blade as close to the edge as I can get. Like I said, in this little divot spot, it's really hard to get. I make it work. The edge without another piece of clay on it, that's the easiest part to get. It's the rest that's the little burger. It's a little tough to get, but I get there. Okay, so we're ready for the next side. And I'm going to speed this up a little bit so that it's not taking all day. Alright, so again, I just lined everything up, pressing everything in now. Trying to make sure I don't have any air bubbles. And I'm just going to go and cut this here. Cut my diagonal corners. Pressing it down, making sure it's nice and butted together. And now I'm going to cut off the excess off the edges. Sorry I'm not in frame so well. Just cutting along that line. I ended up doing a little bit too much there, as you can see. You can see the separation there. But I'm just pinching it together to make sure that it's good and closed. Getting that excess cut off. A little bit more there. Pressing and pinching. Just trying to blend that seam out. Don't want any wood showing. Like I said, it's a lot easier when you do the side without any clay. But here we're on the last piece now, so it's going to get a little more tricky than the rest have been. Because now I'm going to have two sides that I have to deal with the clay on each corner. So I got my baking bond on there. I'm going to size it up here. Make sure I get it in the right spot. So I ended up having to make one more slab so that I could finish this off. Because I didn't have enough to finish it, so I had to make one more slab. And with the scrap cement that I had, that's how much I got. So that wasn't too bad. I had just enough to finish it. So just cutting off that excess on the lip. Toss that aside. Now I'll go for my corners. Just kind of feel for where it's at. Cut. Pull that other piece out from underneath of it there. Worked out nice. And same thing over here. Feel for that edge. Makes my cut. Did that one pretty good. And now these edges, fun part. Just gonna cut it as close to it as I can there, so that I don't have to contend with so much overhang. I can kind of see what I'm doing. So I'm just gonna take my notch out here. Cutting as close to it as I can, and then just kind of smushing it down and making sure those corners are nice and together. A little bit too much there. I went a little bit too deep, so pressed it back down, blended it out, start again. No big. That's what I love about Mikunigani. If you do it like this, spread out is so forgiving. It really is. So just blending that out there. And go for the other side. Sorry, not in the frame. I find I always want to pull it to my stomach when I'm working on something. So I'm really trying to work on that. I really am. I found that if I'm over the purple in the middle of the camera, that I'm pretty much on my mark, but I keep forgetting where I'm at, what I'm working on. So now I'm just going to take and texture it like I did the lid. I got it fast forwarding here so it don't take so long to show you. But I start out on that edge there, and I work my way down to the bottom, getting that excess off there after patting it down. It's going to move a little bit. Gonna make it stretch, so you need to recut the inside of your box there. Get off that excess. Flip it over. And try to smooth the seams out here as best I can. I'm going to take and start texturing the sides. I got air bubbles, so I grab my needle tool, push out the air, and start retexturing it. Sadly, there was a couple spots that I did miss somehow on the other side. So I do got a couple air bubbles in the lip area there on one of my other sides that I somehow completely missed the air bubble. I don't know how, but I did. It happens. It's a keeper box for me anyway, so I'm not too terribly upset. It came out really nice. I love the colors that I chose. I love the blue and the pearl together. It just makes for a really nice color blend, I think, anyway. Okay, I'm just about done with the texture here. Just making sure I got everything covered as I want to have it covered. Then I will take and pop it in the oven at 275 for 1 hour. Okay, here it is and out of the oven. It's all cooled down now, and this is the final outcome. So I don't know if you can see the edges there, but they did come out really nice. Here's what it looks like on the inside. Come out nice. I love how the lid came out and the texture on it. Very nice. I love it. Absolutely love it. But yeah, it just came out great. I think I did a pretty good job for doing my first wonky box there. Like I said, I did get a couple air bubbles that I missed. You can see that one there. I missed that one, but I did get those other big ones, so that was good because they were quite big. Probably why I missed the smaller ones. But I'm very pleased with how it came out. So if this tutorial was helpful to you in any way, please like, share, comment, and subscribe to my channel. Also, I have a Facebook group. I'd love to see you there. Don't forget to ring that bell. Thanks. Have a great day.